Yes, welcome back to another installment of r/no sleep. Today, we have From Bad Andy the Red. Parts 5 and 6 of bloody numbers have been appearing on my hand. I think they are counting down to something. Appreciate each and every one of you out there in Masochist land. Thanks for sticking around. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for subscribing. We're going to jump right back into it because I love this story and I can't wait to see what happens next. So without further ado, let's get into it. I was wandering in a dazed state down a sidewalk. I had no idea where to go, where Cassandra was, or what the strange organization that had taken her was either. I thought again that maybe I should have just stayed, but the way Stillman spoke, the way he sounded certain he would handle the problem one way or the other, made me think that if all efforts failed, that I would be burned alive, rather than let whatever this sickness was spread. Worse still, Cass would likely follow me soon after if they failed to find some cure. I knew I couldn't go back though, partly because of that feeling of hopelessness and partially due to the disturbing voice that nagged in the back of my mind. A voice that was not my own, but felt like it was in my head. It would not allow me to go back to that place. Just thinking about returning caused my head to start hurting and that burning sensation in my blood to start again. I took a deep, steadying breath and continued staggering in the direction I hoped my apartment was. I considered they might have people posted there as well, so I reconsidered after a while and decided to make my way to a cheap motel near the outskirts of town where I had been wandering. My phone had been lost, but I picked up a cheap burner from a crappy mobile store on the way to the motel. I got to my room and was relieved when I found out it had free Wi-Fi. I started looking up any reported incidents of odd illnesses nearby and other things I could recall, no matter how incidental they might be. I couldn't find much after searching for an hour. I almost gave up, but eventually I found a strange blog that had a story that sounded a little too familiar to be a coincidence. The person claimed to have seen someone murdered in a fountain of blood by a strange, masked individual. What struck me was the way they described the mask as one looking like a gargoyle. Normally, I would think the account was from a crazy person, but it was too similar to what I had seen to be anything but a witness to whatever the hell I had seen as well. I immediately sent a message to the blogger asking about the encounter. After waiting for another hour, I had almost fallen asleep when I received a response. Who is asking? I responded as directly as I could without risking exposing my identity. Someone who has seen them too, or at least I think I did. There was a long pause and a response showed up again. We should meet, Central Park, tonight at 10 p.m. Don't be late. Don't be followed. The truth is worse than you think. I had no idea who this person was, but if they could help with any additional information, I would be lucky. It was cold outside, though I kept going through periods where I could feel the chill and where it felt hot under my skin. I lost almost another day and was getting anxious. My time was almost up and I needed a solution, and I hoped that this person, whoever they were, would be able to help. The park was empty and I looked around suspiciously. I had no idea if the people who had kidnapped me were still out looking for a trail. Despite the isolated state of the place, I felt nervous, like I was being watched. I saw a short man walk discreetly to a park bench and sit down. He had thick glasses and an almost comical-looking trench coat, which made his attempts at trying to look discreet or blend in almost laughable. I approached slowly and was about halfway to the bench when he sat up and looked at me, and then quickly behind me and around the park, likely to ensure we were alone. Are you... I started to speak and he held up a fist and hissed at me. Shh! Not so loud and no names. Wait just a second. He pulled a small item out of his coat. At first, I thought it was a gun, but he tinkered momentarily with it in a small dish extended around the node in the center, and I saw what looked like a directional microphone. He aimed it at nearly all of the dark shadows and trees that loomed behind us, around us. Once he was satisfied, he put it away and spoke again. Can never be too careful. All right, talk fast. Are you saying you saw someone taken by the Gargoyle Man too? He has a doubtful and slightly judgmental look that annoyed me, but I answered, yes, near a playground at night. A woman was attacked by that man. I tried to help, but he attacked me too. He knocked me out, and he and the woman were gone when I came to. I waited and watched him digest the story. I couldn't tell if he believed me by his expression alone. Eventually, he nodded his head as if accepting that he was hearing the truth. All right, here's the deal. These people, the ones with the gargoyle helms, they seem to be some sort of group that find and hunt people who are sick with some sort of rare blood infection that is supposedly dangerous. The people I saw get attacked was my friend Max, and his story was weird. He contracted some sort of illness that had all of the hallmarks of hemorrhagic fever. The weird part was that it was not hurting him, or at least he said it wasn't. I wanted him to go to the doctor because it was freaking me out. He really was fucked up, puking blood. It was coming from his eyes, but he said he did not feel like he was sick. He said he felt strong. I didn't know what to make of it until one day when we were coming back from the bar, he was attacked. The man in the mask did something to him. He said something was inside of him and he had to do what needed to be done. Suddenly, I'm knocked on my ass and the man takes Max and I hear this god-awful scream that didn't sound like him at all. The man stopped speaking and looked over my shoulder, frowned, and then resumed. After freaking out about it, I tried to find out where Max was, but I found nothing. He was declared missing, and I was questioned, but nothing ever came up. Eventually, I found out similar events occurring to people across the state have all been reported abductions by people in these weird masks. Always when a friend or someone they knew had been seemingly sick with something. Worse, they are not the only ones taking people. Some weird government group had been abducting these sick people as well and taking them away to do God knows what to them. Knowing the government probably weaponizing the illness or whatever it is. He snorted and was about to continue when I heard a loud beeping from his pocket, and suddenly his expression changed and he looked at me and shouted, "Run! Someone's here!" I looked behind me just in time to see men in biohazard suits coming out of the shadows. One had leveled some sort of gun at me, and I fell to the ground, narrowly dodging a dart of some kind. I saw the man I had been speaking with taken off his feet as he was trying to get away. I started to panic and felt my chest lurch and the burning feeling welling up again. I tried to move, but I froze, and it felt like my limbs couldn't move. I looked down and saw a dart sticking out of my leg. I slumped back down, and as the men moved in with restraints to detain me, something unexpected happened. The man who was bending down to cuff me let loose a muffled sound followed by a wet gurgle. I paused in disbelief as I saw what looked like some strange multi-bladed knife or glaive sticking out of his head. There were panicked shouts followed by actual gunfire as the men in hazmat suits fought back against whoever or whatever was attacking them. The burning feeling started to increase and I could feel my limbs again. I sat up and saw another man's head vanish, and it came clean off to the swing of a large double-headed axe. The figure wielding it was unmistakable. They wore that same leering gargoyle head as I had seen before. Whoever this person was, they did not like the people who had kidnapped me. I thought I heard the figure mumbled something along the lines of, "Blasphemous wretches, forgive them, Father, they know not what they do." I swear I saw a man in a hazmat suit fire a shotgun at the masked man at point-blank range, but he did not react. His response was neatly separating the gunman's head from his shoulders after the failed shot. Most of the hazmat men were dead or dying, and the gargoyle-headed man stomped toward me, axe raised in the air. That burning feeling increased, and a wave of heat and blood came off my body as I screamed. The liquid seemed to be boiling somehow, and it splashed the masked man, who howled in pain and fell onto his back. Whatever I had just done had stopped him momentarily. I got up and suppressed the strange urge to fight. Instead, I ran as fast as I could. The masked man regained his footing and shouted after me, "You will only die, tired creature. Let me give you a clean death before the society makes you into something worse, trying to cure you." He started moving toward me, but was engaged by a group of hazmat suit-wearing gunmen and was forced to fight back while I fled. I ran for what felt like hours. I can scarcely remember it though, like my body was on some sort of autopilot. Eventually, I found my way back to the motel, and after checking around for a while to make sure I was not followed, I staggered back into my room and collapsed from exhaustion. When I awoke, I did not even have to check my hand, though I did out of habit at this point. I closed my eyes and tried to calm myself. Despite the confirmation I had seen, that meant I only had 3 days left. I had no idea what the hell was happening, but things were going from bad to worse. Part 6. The cycle of running for my life and losing consciousness was getting old. I suppose this time I felt safer being in the hotel room. I was grateful no one had captured me while I slept, though I wondered if I had truly slept at all. I was not sure, but the bloody 3 on my hand reminded me that sleep was not the concern just then. I did not have long to consider my situation or appreciate my freedom when something ended up coming to me. I heard the door creak open, and then a small metallic clatter on the floor. Suddenly, I was blinded by a flash of light and a deafening explosion. I managed to stay conscious and fell back to avoid a strike aimed at my head. I looked up and saw 2 people wearing gargoyle masks. I held up my hands and tried to get them to stop. "Wait, I don't know what's going on, but I didn't do anything. Don't kill me. I heard from the scientists that there's a cure. Whatever is wrong can be fixed. At least I think so." The masked figures paused. They regarded each other after a moment and then looked back at me. One of them stepped forward and pulled out what looked like a silver chain. "Come with us then. If you truly wish to test your innocence, you might help us yet. But if you betray us or try to infect more with the curse, we will burn you alive." I looked around, desperate for an avenue of escape, but I saw no way to get out of there while both of them were after me. I saw what just one of them was capable of in the bunker I was kept in it before. I did not want to fight 2 of them now. Even if they killed me, I suppose I would at least get some answers on what the hell was going on first. I allowed one of the figures to wrap the silver chain around my hands, and despite the chain not being pulled completely tight, the surface seemed to irritate and burn my skin. The area around my hand was positively throbbing, and I almost cried out from the discomfort. The 2 watched my reaction impassively, though I suspected they wore some reaction to my suffering behind the masks. We quickly walked to a plain-looking white van outside, and I was beginning to fear I had made a terrible mistake. We drove what felt like an hour, though I had no idea exactly how long in truth. Like some sort of black op, I had a burlap sack over my head as we traveled, in case I might somehow lead others to whatever base of operations this bizarre people called home. When I arrived, I marched out of the vehicle and walked for a while till I was told to stop. I felt my blood heating up again. Something about where I was standing caused the strange feeling again, like it was trying to get out before I took another step. I fell to my knees and thought I might be sick. I felt a hand on my shoulder and the sting of electricity as I was shocked by some sort of taser. After convulsing for a moment, I recovered and cried out, "What the hell was that for?" Yet before I heard an answer, I noticed the strange feeling was gone. I no longer felt sick, my blood had been calmed. A voice finally responded. "For safety, I'm sorry. We don't often bring your kind back here. The danger is great, and I'm not sure if Lewis and Frederick made the right decision in trying to bring you in. But you are here now, and we can always kill you later if the plan fails." I had no idea what plan they were referring to, but I had little choice but to cooperate, if at least to find out what was wrong with me. I was marched into another room, and I heard a door closing. Someone pulled the bag from my head, and I looked at a large figure in an even more ornate gargoyle mask than the others. The snarling visage was intricately carved and seemed to have gems studded in various sections of the mask. They stared at me for a short while, and I felt uncomfortable as my eyes adjusted to the harsh light of the room and the glare of the same light reflected off the brilliant surface of the mask. Before I could ask anything, the figure spoke. "Welcome, Tainted One. The first and most important question I must ask is, have you fed the blood curse yet? If you have fed already, then this is a wasted effort, and we should save time and kill you in a much swifter and less painful manner." I considered the question and the assertion they were going to kill me. I did not know what they meant by fed the blood curse. I had not eaten anyone or drank someone's blood like a goddamn vampire. At least I did not remember ever doing anything like that. I responded honestly, No, I've not fed whatever this thing is. Please tell me what is happening to me. Am I going to die?" The figure paused and reached his hand to his chin, like he was considering carefully before responding. Perhaps not. We will see. Either way, this will be grueling. You will have pain inflicted on you, but your soul might be saved yet. The time left on your hand, the time left in your blood, claims you still have hope, if only a few days now. But I cannot promise this will work. It could cleanse you, but you may still die. Yet I am afraid we cannot risk leaving you to spread the curse further, or worse, become something altogether different when your time is up. I looked at him doubtfully, and he spoke again. I will not lie, the chance is slim, but I will not deceive you about our intentions. In fact, I will tell you a bit more about what is happening. You will either die or live, knowing that you can never share the secrets you find out here as long as you continue to live. He stretched out his hands, gesturing to the building around us. This is the Hall of Atonement. You are currently being held by our group, the Society of Hermes. We are a clandestine group of warriors and healers who keep the people safe from the physical and sometimes supernatural threats that might menace all of mankind. It just so happens that you found yourself involved in our little struggle against a very pernicious foe. I could not believe what the man was saying. I was listening to him talk about the secret societies and hidden wars. It sounded crazy, but he continues without even regarding the incredulous look on my face. The blood phage are a curse. a sentient and spiritual disease that passes on from people to people by blood-borne transmission. I will tell you more about them if you survive, but for now, the time is short. You were infected when you came in contact with a specimen that one of our puregration groups was hunting down. Once they have fed, the curse is unbreakable. For those who might still be saved, we have a method that could heal you. You must believe that we never meant to kill people infected by the curse. It is only as a last resort that we have been forced to. Yet so many have been lost. Our hearts have hardened, and we had been forced to act. You, however, might be the first one we can save from this nightmare. He gestured to two others in the room with us, and I was grabbed by each arm and brought to another room. Inside, there was a large machine with tubes snaking into odd-looking machinery. A bed lay in the center, and I was placed on it. I started to sweat, and the fear of burning blood sensation began again. Something felt like it was trying to get out, and I remembered the name the masked man had given this curse I was apparently inflicted with: blood phage. I flinched as they led me to the bed. I was strapped down, and the two men insisted that once it started, the creature might try to escape. Needles were inserted into veins, and I heard pumps whirling and starting. I had no idea what they were doing, but I considered this thing might be some sort of arcane dialysis machine. The thing in my blood raged, and I screamed out in a feral roar that did not sound like myself. I thrashed at the restraints, and I felt the horror emerging from my skin. An electric charge struck me before I lost myself, and I felt dizzy as the blood pumped out of my body. I dimly heard a low chanting and saw figures in the gargoyle mask chanting something. A prayer, maybe? I heard a voice interrupting the chant. "They're coming. They're going to try and save their foul seed." I saw several of the masked figures grab these oddly shaped objects. Suddenly, the strange things had held let loose out a small gout of flame, and I realized the ornamental objects they held had appeared to function as short-range flamethrowers. The machine continued its work, and I saw blood being drained from my body. The color was all wrong, and seeing the fluid leave my veins made me feel strange. I thought I would be relieved, but I felt angry. Something felt wrong. It felt like my guts were twisting. I felt a strange echoing call in my head, a voice I hadn't heard since I had escaped the facility with the scientists, who were also trying to cure me. The voice spoke into my mind again. "Don't let them take us away. You need us. Kill them." I felt a surge of anger and adrenaline, but before I could act on it, I felt the sting of electricity again, and the shock made the voice recede. My mind felt like itself again, but suddenly a creeping dread fell across the room, and in the next instant the lights died and backup lights came on. The dim glow was just enough to make out a horrifying sight. The fluid in the tank, the blood that was being drained from me, was writhing and moving. I began to feel lightheaded, and I wondered if they were going to kill me after all. The amount seemed prodigious, but was not dead. Not yet, at least. The last thing I saw before I passed out again was a brilliant light from several flames all at once, engulfing the tainted blood. The death scream I had heard heralded my loss of consciousness. When I woke up, I had no idea how long it had been. I felt weak and drained, but I was alive. I saw the restraints were gone, and I looked to my hand and let out a sigh of relief when I saw the bloody number was gone. The cure, or whatever they had done, had worked. I heard the door to my room open, and the man in the ornate gargoyle mask entered. "Please," save your strength. We have much to discuss. There are others you have contacted. They might need our ministrations. You must help us before it's too late." I nodded my head and thought about Cassandra and knew this was not over yet. Awesome story, man. You know what it reminds me of? A long time ago, they made a video game called Prototype, and it was kind of like a mix between like Assassin's Creed and Venom, like Symbiont. It kind of has like that same kind of feel to it, but it's definitely of its own. Very, very cool. Appreciate everybody sticking around. Appreciate everybody listening in. Please like, please subscribe, please share. If you are on forums and you see stories, if you could post my link, I'd appreciate it. It helps me grow a little bit faster. The growth has been extremely slow. I mean, I've only been doing this for we started in February, I think March we started posting. I mean, it's only been about 5 months, 6 months, half of a year. I appreciate every bit of help that anybody can give out there. I am the Grimmaticus. Farewell.